Yep. Good morning. Good morning and welcome to Wimbledon Spiritualist Church. Sorry if some of you are having some technical difficulties. If you're actually watching us from either the YouTube or Facebook or any other devices, we've been here and nicely seated in the church for the last 10 minutes or so. We're very pleased to have a dear friend to this church, the fellow minister here at Wimbledon as well, Minister Rose Anderson, and a very fine medium. So it's lovely to have Rose with us. And we'll ask her in a moment to open up in prayer. Excuse me, forgive the voice. Okay. Okay, right. I'm going to ask Rose to come over as she's going to stand for the opening prayer.
Divine Spirit, Father God, as we gather here this morning, we ask that your love and blessing come down amongst us all and refill and refresh us and uplift us on this day of rest, ready for the week ahead. We ask that all the angels, guides, our loved ones, our friends, and of course our lovely animals all come close, that they may give survival, that life is eternal and there is no death. We ask that each and every one of us is refilled and refreshed and filled with healing, and that as your medium, as I receive, I give, and I give, I receive back, and so the circle is continuous. And I ask that all will be said, will be in truth and love, and always according to your will. And we leave ourselves, as always, in your care and keeping. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much, Rose. Now this is the part of our service where we ask for healing. So for those of you that are online, if you're able to still text in, if we can see it at the bottom of the screen, then hopefully other healers that are also online will see those names. We have quite a long list of names here at the church, and we have one of our regulars, Christine Davis, a friend of hers, has been diagnosed with breast cancer, and her name is Carol. So if you can think of Carol, if we can also send thoughts for Paul, Carol, Stella, Kathy, Shirley, Sophie, Tracy, Mumtaz, Kelly and Stephen, Maria, Sarah, Babs, Ashley, Jackie, Ray, Rachel, Claire, Jack, Oscar, Jill, Amber, Helen, Wayne and Les. And for all of those that you have, and for Rosie, we need some healing for Rosie, because we want her well to be able to join us with our spiritual psychic weekend, but because she wasn't well enough earlier in the year, so we have to make sure that she's fit and fighting fit, and we're going to have a lovely service. But those of you that have people you know in your hearts, in your minds, all of those that are on beds of sickness, all of those that are in their transition to passing back home to the Spirit, and all of those families that are in times of crisis and difficulty, that their eyes may be opened up to the power of healing. Now, we changed our healing hymn during the beginning of COVID to be the Serenity prayer, because we felt that the words were very apt for people at a time where we knew that we all needed courage. And I will ask Richard if he will put the words of the Serenity prayer up so that you can join with me in saying, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Very important spiritual words. And this is the time now in our service where we ask George to go around with the plate, and we mentioned that you can support this church by a small donation as your way of being part of the collection, by the paypal.com, the PayPal me at the LAD Proms, for keeping us open. Like many churches, we're all going to be worried about how they're going to physically keep the heating and the lighting on. But that is that's where we are, and that's where we are with everyone. So we particularly have to send positive energy up to the world at this time. And I can say a few names to people, if there are a few names managing to get through on the screen. If not, then I shall ask Richard if he will put the adverts on for what's coming on Spiritual Productions for this week. We've already got feedback. James Fennell is saying wonderful prayer, Rose. We can do that after. It's nice when you get instant feedback when somebody has enjoyed. I think Jane Butterworth is saying hi.
Hello, Jane.
Welcome, it's your first time. Helen Mansell, please send healing for Christine Richardson and family who have lost her beautiful husband, dad, granddad. If we can send out healing for this gentleman. And Leslie is with us. Morning, everyone, she's saying. So it's lovely to know that you're watching us, Les. Melanie Wellams is saying good morning to everyone. Welcome to you, Melanie. And Elaine Ballinger is saying, seems to be a problem with the sound today. Yes, and I don't know why. There's no logical, physical reason. But, you know, sometimes these things are just sent to try us. Barbara AB is saying, good morning, everyone. And Kelly Rocket is saying hi to us all. Izzy Ryan is saying good morning to all at Wimbledon, to Richard and all the lovelies in the chat room. And Christine Davis is saying good morning all to all of us.
Morning.
Shawana Foster is giving us some hearts. And that's nice to have 3 hearts. Chris is saying, good morning, everyone. Welcome. You know, some of you may be in England, some of you may even be in Australia or America or Africa. It's nice when you just put what country that you're in, because then it just shows us the broad width that we have of individuals that are being part of this service with us. And that is lovely. Okay, well, I'd like to ask for Jim to come up, who's going to be giving us the reading this morning. And he's a very fine read. I'm sure he's chosen a lovely reading for us this morning.
Good morning, everyone. I'm going to recite a poem for you today, and I hope you like it. It's called The Sermon. It's by a poet called Anosmo King, and here we go. In his study one night by the fading light sat the vicar, tired and worn, trying to dream of a novel theme for his sermon on Sunday morn. He could think of none, for his little son was playing round with his toys, with laughter shrill, as children will. He was making a terrible noise. To meditate and concentrate, the vicar tried in vain. If only he could find the key, some peace and quiet to gain. Just then he noticed a map of the world, and an idea entered his head. By simple ruse, my son I'll amuse while I finish my sermon. He said, take this map of the world to the nursery, my boy. Cut it up into little bits, then try to piece it together again, till every particle fits. With a sigh of content as the youngster went, his yearning to write increased, for he knew the boy would be well employed for over an hour at least. So taking his pen and paper then, he decided to start his task once more. He'd scarcely written a single page when a knock was heard at the door. With a confident grin, the boy walked in, his map of the world complete. How did you do it so quickly, my son? It's correct and so perfectly neat. On the back of the map, said the little chap, is the picture of a man. And I thought, if only I got him straight, I must get the world to plan. You're right, said the vicar, my sermon I've learnt. You've made it so wonderfully plain. But it's by getting men's hearts the right way turned that the world will come straight again.
Thank you very much, Jim, for a lovely poem. I hope that people out there have been able to hear, because I know you're having sound difficulties. But I'm now going to introduce you to Ray, who's actually coming up here to do the address this morning. So it will be a lovely address. We're very privileged that Ray's going to do the address. So I hope that you're able to hear. Okay. I'm going to see if I can turn this on.
Well, good morning, everybody. And it's the first time I've been up here for a long time, other than the christening the other week for young Oscar, which was a great day. And I just wanted to try and share a few words, because I think, as Jim's reading says, you know, quite often the sermon can be too boring, and I'm trying not to be boring. And somebody once said to me, one of the reasons I love your addresses, Ray, they go on a long time. I said, yeah, only because Jackie stopped me, I had to stop. Otherwise, I've gone on another 10 or 15 minutes. We are spiritualists, and we have a mission on earth to promote the reason and the rationale of spiritualism to all those we encounter. Spiritualism is different things to different people. To me, it's simply life after death, and that there is a creator, sustainer of the universe, unseen but ever present, that manifests in creation. And in that creation, we have so much to see and understand. I listen to so many people lately, because most of you know me well, I'm losing the sight in my eye, that I can't see and read so much. And I've listened to a lot of people, and all I hear from some people is the ego they've got within them about themselves, and not about the movement as a whole. You need ego to get up in the morning, to go to work, or to carry on at home, or whatever you do. But you need to have an understanding of the spirituality that lies within you, the divinity, in a sense, that you are man, you are, or female, in a body of flesh, trying to live out an existence on this earth. And it's trying to live out the existence on earth, which is sometimes a painful experience. It's sometimes something we can't always understand. Now, I've had a lot of people come up to me over the last few months saying, Ray, it's such a sad thing that you're losing the sight in your eye. Yes, I'm not best pleased. I think, I'm so happy I'm losing one eye. And as I said to Ethan the other day, I saw you do that. And he went, but did you see me with your good eye or your bad eye? And I laughed at that. But when I try to see my spiritualism, the spiritualism I love and care for, I try to see with my spiritual sense, my real sense. I was telling somebody the other day, my dad had a business partner. His name was Diggy. He called him Diggy because he used to be a road digger and dig holes for the gas board. And he lost one of his eyes during chipping some pipes in the old days. You didn't cut them, you chipped them away. And he lost his eye. And he's in the shop one day listening to us talking about the third eye, Dad and I. And he turned up the following morning, a little bit late, not much, but just a little bit late. And we're serving away in the shop, and people are staring at him and standing back and looking. And Dick had a very deadpan face. You wouldn't want to play poker with this man. And suddenly I looked, and I said, what have you done? He'd stuck a spare glass eye in the middle of his head. He said, well, I want to show everyone I've got a third eye, whatever that so-and-so means. And we laughed at that. And I've had people laugh at us, what we do as spiritualists. And as I once said to my Ashley, if you suddenly someone say to you, explain what you do as spiritualists, well, I talk to dead people, sums it up. And then people look at you strangely. But spiritualism is more than mediumship. It's living a spiritual life. It's trying to enhancing a spiritual life. I accept what's happened to my eye and the rest of my body that's packing up slowly but surely at the moment. I'm very lucky at the moment. I'm seeing so much that's in here in the hospital. Every department, I've almost got a free pass to them all. It's part of what is. As one of my Jackie's favourite sayings is, "It is what it is, Ray," and this is me. But there are other people that can't always accept that. Now, to be a spiritualist is just to live a normal, easy, sensible life. Easy in the sense, just don't change anything. I listened to a man on telly the other day. He is now an Anglican vicar, but before he became an Anglican vicar, he broke into people's houses and stole things. And he actually admitted he broke into the BBC studios where they were filming him, and he tried to carry off some bits and pieces. He got caught. He said, the best thing that ever happened to me is getting caught. He changed his ways and changed his life. Now, spiritualism, I can't say changed my life, because I've been a spiritualist since I was 11. And I introduced Jackie to spiritualism when we first were going out together. And we got married here. We've had our children christened here and named here, and our grandchildren. And it's interesting to see how spiritualism, in some respects, has changed a great deal since my early days. I don't think it's so much church-based anymore. There's much more going on in social clubs and halls and benches, which my dad helped start promoting. So I'm not criticising it. But Medium once said to me, about a year ago, I said, "Oh, if you want to need Hatbridge Hall anytime," he said, "The thing is, Ray, people don't want to come to churches anymore." And I said, "I can't accept that." Because Thursday night for Ashley and Ivan, we had 110 people. Phil had a packed church at Woking the other night. So people do want to go to spiritualist meetings. But it's the type of spiritualism they want to see. And though I'm not happy with this law that the government brought in about this is for entertainment purposes only, but we have to have medium speakers and demonstrators that are somewhat entertaining. Keep you mind occupied. Now, I go back to the days when I first came into spiritualism, a wonderful medium, Shirley may remember him, called Fred Reynolds. Of course you do. You're older than me, so you would do. And you have to. This is honest. He entertained the churches. First time I ever saw him was before we came into Wimbledon Church. We hired a hall over in Putney, Wandsworth area, and it was called the Putney Riverside Group, and I was one of the members there at age 11. And Fred come along, and Fred had a catchphrase, for want of a word. "Oh, beg your pardon?" And he'd turn round and go, "Really? Really? Beg your pardon? Oh, I can't say that." And everyone's sitting there, "Yes, you can, we want to know what they're saying." And because people generally are somewhat nosy with what's going on. And that is part of the reason, I think, why you need to hear voices, what's going on, because people need to know. But the spiritualism and the mission must continue. This church was founded as the Wimbledon Spiritualist Mission back in 1913. It met in a couple of venues. I've recently found where we used to meet in the Broadway, I think it was above a bank. I'm not quite sure without looking at the papers. But we came here, Mr. Bush paid and brought this land, then furnished this church all out of his own pocket. And after about a year, 18 months, they hadn't managed to pay a penny back to him. And he said, "You can have it." And they said, "Well, you can remain president until you pass away," and which he did. But I still believe he still has a fairly strong influence. My dad would never leave the church without saying goodnight to him. And I said to someone the other week, "When you go, you must say goodnight to Mr. Bush and my father." He said, "Why your father?" I said, "He'll haunt you otherwise." That's a joke. But spiritualism is like a giant diamond. It has so many facets, so many hues, so many colours, so many rainbows. And we have to choose the one we've got and how we want to work with the one we've got. For me, working as a medium in my younger days was always a great joy and pleasure. But I made the conscious decision I wanted to be a medium just for here, just for Wimbledon. Served a few churches in my time, not many. Went as far as Hythe in Kent, Jackie and I, to work churches. And it was interesting doing that. because I understood the other side of the story of being a working medium, getting caught up in traffic, rushing to the church, got trains to churches and the trains running on time and everything like that. But it was all part of the learning mission. And I reminded Jackie the other day of a story where when I used to work for this charity in London, I was stuck in a lift for 4.5 hours. Fire brigade couldn't get me out because it was between floors. And then I had the most horrendous journey back from central London to here. I walked in here about 7:10, and Dad said, "How you doing, son?" "Oh, I've had a rotten day, Dad, this, that, and the other." He said, "Oh, well, got some good news." I said, "What's that?" He said, "You're the medium in 10 minutes. And I got up here, did the dem, and I think, without sounding too arrogant, that's one of the best dems I ever gave that night. It was one of the things I learnt in Circle, and I truly did learn this in Circle, with both spiritual healing and mediumship. You've got to be prepared to do it at any time, any place. I've given readings in the back of my dad's shops, in the back of the van. Jill Ross will tell you how I gave readings to her and Christy in the back of Christy's van. I was telling her, I was never in the back. I was such a gentleman, I let Jackie go in the back. And we worked in so many diverse ways. I've given readings and healing at Covent Garden, New Covent Garden Market, and other places. And at one time I was giving readings in a pub because I didn't have anywhere local to work. And I had this little table in this room about 3/4 the size of the church. And I'll go in, buy a bottle of light out, put it on the table, and this man would come in. You've got to try and picture me. I've got a dark overcoat, collar up because it was cold, trilby hat, and I'm giving readings, people shaking my hands and sort of doing this to me as they left. And the barman came up to me one day, he was the manager of the pub, and he said to me, "What are you doing, Ray?" He said, "Are you some sort of money lender or gangster?" I said, "No, I'm doing spiritual work." He said, "Oh, that's what they call it, because you got to remember, I'm doing this in Brixton." I said, "No, I'm doing spiritual stuff, religious stuff." "Nah, you don't look religious in your overcoat and your trilby and bulging pockets." And I said, "No," and I sort of sat there and tried to explain what I did. And he went, "Oh, all right." He said, "I just wish you brought more beer." I said, "Well, you can't mix the two spirits." And I did that for a number of years, on and off, going around to friends, people's houses, till I started being used as a getting invited to family parties and do's, but to be the entertainment for the evening. I stopped doing that because I felt abused. And I remember one night a man basically called me a fake and a fraud. So I said, "It's fine." I said, "But I won't tell anybody about the video players in the car, the phones and this and that." I gave him a list of stuff. And he sat down and said, "How the hell do you know that?" I said, "Your father just told me." I said, "If you're not careful, you're going to go to prison quite soon." And he never touched a drop of drink all night. He just kept sitting there. How the bleeding hell did he know? And his sister said to him, "Because he's a psychic and he knows these things." And he said, "Thank God he's not a copper." Rose, I know, has encountered similar situations in her life, and probably other people sitting here as well. But I feel our mission, though being a church, has not changed. We still need to propagate the truths of spiritualism. Now, one of the teachings of Zodiac is a teaching called the Christ Mission, but in part of the teaching, it talks about there's always a certain amount of treachery in people's lives when they're trying to teach and show people the ways of spiritual progression. It's not quite those words. And that treachery comes from people sometimes you know and you know well. And that's true. I've seen that happen over the years with other mediums, with other people, with other church leaders. And it's interesting how people can get envious of a position. People have often said to me, "You don't use your church enough. You need to do this, you need to do that." Well, nicely, we do what we can here. We truly do what we can. And some of the things people are doing, we done 30, 40 years ago. We used to do psychic fairs here on a Saturday. And Dad and Jimmy Collins would get fruit and veg here, sell it off. We're doing readings, I think 25p a reading in the days for 10 minutes. And there'd be queues and queues for the readings. Jane, Jackie, and other people go around trying to get people into their seats. And here, worked in the sanctuary, worked in the garden when it's a good day, not on a cold day. But my dad probably thought about it on a cold day. But you have to have an establishment. In the Old Testament, it said, "For God said, in strength I've established this mine house to stand firm forever." Now we have an established house, though it's a bit rockety in different places at the moment. I'm trying to get it resolved, but everything costs a price. We're going to have to shut this part of the church down for the winter. We won't be able to afford to heat it all the time. Just have to have it on a low temperature. We will move outside quite soon. And we'll have to see what people are going to do. I know Dawn's class will shut for the autumn and reopen again in the spring, because we have to look practically how to pay our bills here, how to pay our bills at Hatbridge. And somebody made a comment to me the other day when I said we had a big crowd, took a picture of the crowd at Hatbridge the other night. I said, "Well, the rumour is churches are empty." I said, "Well, we were lucky this night, having all that crowd of people, and it was a good night. Tina was there. It was a fun night. It was a good night." And my Ashley said to me afterwards, "I came here, had a bad day at the office, tough day, challenging day." And he said, "I came in, I thought, I don't want to do this. I'd rather be home with my baby, looking after it." And he come out, he said, "I just want to go out and do more stuff now." Spiritualism invigorates not only the mind, but it invigorates your spirit and your soul. It manifests itself to go forward. I've got to stop in a minute because we've got to finish at 12. But the life we have as spiritualists is such a magnificent life. When Stephen and Kelly got married, or getting married here, they asked to speak to the minister, and they, no, listening to my dad, they knew my dad wasn't the minister. And my dad said, "Oh, a couple of kids are going to phone you and they want to get married." Oh, some of the stories they told him about me. I didn't like people doing this, and I didn't like people doing that. And you could hear in their voice how apprehensive they were talking to me. And I went, "Oh, Dad, why did you do that for?" He said, "Oh, keep people on their toes. It's the best way, keep them on their toes." And those who knew Dad, it was like that. But what I say to you now, all, practice your religion. Practice your beliefs. When it's coming out of season, put it back into season. When it's in season, keep it going. Keep it manifest in your daily lives. When I worked at the civil service, they knew I was a medium. When I worked in market, they knew I was a medium. I'd give readings. I'd even preach in the market. I used to have my till standing out, stand behind the till, and I'd talk about things. And my customers would shout out, "Preach it, Raymond, preach it." And my dad said, "Get on to serve the customers. Don't worry about preaching. Take their money." I try to be universal with my outlook of life, and I'm trying to teach that to Ashley and Rachel, or mainly Ashley, because of the training he's starting to do quite soon. But it's living that belief system. It's living that life. The only time I've ever hid my religion, when I first met Jackie, I was going out healing on a Tuesday evening with Bob Bassett. And as I said to her, "I go out on Tuesday night. Please don't ask me what I'm doing, but I'm just going out on a Tuesday night." I think it's after 2 weeks, 3 weeks, Jack said, "What are you doing? Where are you going? Somebody else?" I said, "No." "Oh, don't know how to do this, don't know how to start this." "Okay." And she went, "Right, what are you going to say then?" I said, "I'm a spiritualist and I go out healing." She went, "Oh, okay, can I come?" Wasn't frightened. She came to church that following Sunday and has been a spiritualist ever since. And we've been together now 45 years, 43 married, but 45 years together. Never a row have I ever won. And I'm a miserable old chap. That clean? Chap.
Yeah.
And Tina, not Tina, Lynn said to me this morning, "It takes one to know one." So, but I am that, but because I have concerns and fears about this building and Hatbridge. We got to Hatbridge on Thursday, tons of rubbish outside the church. So Ash and I moved it. Probably get a letter from the council. Good fly tipping. But everyone sticks stuff outside our church. They don't stick it outside the Church of England church or anywhere else. They always seem to pick on what I call the spiritualist. And as somebody once said to me, "Well, you're not a proper church, are you? Come and have a look, mate." And last council elections, was it? They used our church as a telling booth, and they actually said, "Oh, we like him. We're going to come in." Live your lives. Be your lives. Live long and prosper, friends. God bless.
Always hate to stop Ray when he's doing an address, but to say the time is getting on, and I had hoped to set up so Rose could be seated, but the technology just has failed us this morning. So Rose is going to see if she can stand up for a few minutes, and if we can't, then what we have to do is see whether Richard can phone us again. Okay, let's.
I chaired for Fred. He was Stu.
Yes, I chaired for Fred. He was
special
too.
yeah,
so
he was special.
Our
Right. Okay, well, I'm hoping I can get something because you know, I've been so wrapped up listening to Ray. Elmer wasn't quite Elmer, you know, but he was on form. I feel very much as if I'm not quite sure where I was going. I'm sort of all over the shop at the moment. The couple at the back on the right, one that I thought was my brother-in-law, my ex-brother-in-law walking in. Can I hear your voices? I'm saying couple. Are you together? Yeah. I thought you was. Actually, I can just about see. I think you're holding hands, so that's probably a giveaway, isn't it?
We might have just been terrified.
Oh, yeah, you might have just been frightened. I don't know. But I was very drawn to you. I was very drawn. Sort of kept going backwards and forwards. So I don't know if you've got anybody you know over here, but anyway, I feel very drawn to you. The reason is there's a man standing behind you. Sorry, Richard. There's a man standing. It's very awkward actually, having to remember to be in camera as well. But there's a man standing behind you, and as I link in, it's almost as if he wants to put his arms around you. I feel very much as if there's. I don't want to say a recent passing, but there's a feeling that there's been. You look a nice, happy couple, but there's been grief around you. Okay, and I feel. I mean, I know we've come out of in the last 2 or 3 years has been, quite horrendous for a lot of people. But I want to say over the last few years, you've had more than your fair share. Yes. Okay. I mean, Ray was talking about, what was he saying about sometimes people going through bad times, and I do feel it's very strange. This man saying a very unfair time for both of you. It's always unfair when we lose someone, especially if we lose them what we think is too soon. But it's not just you're not just bereaved because you've lost people. Okay, I include pets when I say that as well. It's not just the physical loss of someone that you're grieving about. It's almost as if there's been a rift, or there's been some other. I can see a tree being struck by lightning, and it's as if it's split something in half. Yes. Yeah, because and it's like your treatment has been unfair. Yes. He's being very diplomatic. What he says here. Because obviously we are in a public place, and as nice as these people are, you don't want them knowing your whole business. But he's just said, just as life can turn suddenly and take a downward turn, it can suddenly turn and take an upward. Because, and I always say this, I've had more spears stuck in my back through what Ray was saying about jealousy, really, is so true, through so-called love and lighters, spiritual people, than we even care to think about. Isn't that right, Jack?
Ones that should know better.
Ones that should know better. And I'm not saying they're necessarily spiritual people, but certainly people that should know better, or you would expect better of. But I feel you've had help and you've had friendship given to you from the most unlikely places. Yes. I remember once I got this, it was something awful happened to me, and it was definitely somebody stabbed me in the back, but it was like all of a sudden I had all these other people suddenly grouped around me, protected me, you know, and they say it's in times of hardship you find out who your friends are. And I feel that there's a lot you can say bye-bye to, you know, because it's opened your eyes to a lot of things. I think some people you might not be able, when I say get rid of, I don't mean, you know, like bump them off, but some people, maybe because they're family or they're out of family, it's not always so easy to cut them out, but you can step back from some things. And I feel the ones that's really hurt you, you know, just you've done the right thing, he said. He's really, really choosing his words carefully, and I think you understand why, don't you? And this has affected both of you, and I feel that there's the way someone has behaved it's one person in particular has cut you to the quick.
Yes.
And like as I said, and although you're pragmatic about it, and it's like, well, it's no good grieving, we've got to accept it. There is still this feeling of he wants to put his arms around you and just cuddle the pair of you, okay? Now, I don't know if this is your father or I would say your partner's, your husband. I don't know which one, but I feel this gentleman's been gone about, he's not been gone that long. I don't want to say last week, but I don't want to say 10 years ago. I would have said it's been gone in the last few years.
It's like a father figure.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
His father figure when he went a few years ago.
Right, okay, I'll accept that because I when you say a father figure, I can understand now why I couldn't decide which one he was with. It may be that both of your own respective fathers are still here, but this man definitely he came in that fatherly way. He looks very, very gaunt, and I feel he must have lost a lot of weight because I can see his face and he's got a sort of a very sallow look about him. So I know that this gentleman was really poorly before he died, but he suddenly smartened himself up and straightened himself up. And I feel in his prime, in his heyday, even as an older man maybe, he was a very upright, almost dapper man. I don't know if he wore a uniform at some point. He may have been of the age where he might have fought in the war, but I feel as if he would have worn a uniform at some point that would have been quite important to him. There may even be a photograph with this uniform on. And at some point, I think he had a beard because I feel I want to do this, and it's not mine. He was, and I say he was a very smart gentleman. Yeah, very, very dapper is the word I want to use. Can I just say that you're making choices in your life. You're about to decide where you want to go, or I don't know if you're moving, but you're definitely making big choices about, you know, to do with your life. The only advice he's going to give you is follow your hearts. And if you feel you want to move to, you know, wherever it is, do so. There may be reasons why you feel you've got to stay where you are. And if those reasons feel important to you for at this moment, then okay, yeah, do that. But do it because it's your decision, both of you. All right? Not because you feel obligated. And there's a lady that you're quite concerned about at the moment. Okay, I don't know if this is your mum, but you're concerned for her well-being. I don't know whether she's not able to look after herself or whether you feel that she's not being looked after properly, but that was exactly how he put it. You're concerned for her well-being. Yes. Okay. He said, you don't know the right words to say, but I want to say, sit quietly and ask to be guided, because I feel I want to gear myself up for an argument, but rather than an aggressive argument, it's assertiveness. Does that make sense? And I feel you've put it off because I just don't want to argue. You know, we've had enough arguments in our lives, you know, and I just feel this is one more battle. But he said, sit, put light around the situation and ask for the right words, and the right words will come. Okay? I don't think I'm getting any more. Before I go, there's a little dog just run up there to you, just wagging its tail. And it's like he's really pleased to see you. He doesn't look that old, this dog. I don't think he lived out his full life. No. You know, he wasn't a puppy, sort of about midlife. He's still got that exuberance. And a sort of I'm not quite sure if he's got a breed. He, you know, looks as if he might be you know, a bit of
Heinz 57.
Yeah, Heinz 57. But he's definitely there, and he's definitely got he's a terrier of some kind. He's not a tiny dog. He's sort of mid-size, I would have said. But this dog is definitely there, wagging its tail behind it. And I feel you both are animal lovers, you know, because there seems to be a whole lot around you. You know, you look a bit like Noah's Ark. So I feel in your time, you know, like, yeah, and I feel you quite often adopted strays. You know, they seem to find you, animals, and I don't think that will change. But you wouldn't change that for anything. But you will have the right place to do it in. So I don't know if at the moment it's not necessarily practical. Does that make sense? But I feel wherever you're thinking of going, it will be more conducive to having animals around you, because you'll either be on the ground floor or you'll have a little garden or whatever. And I feel that that's something you really want, because he's just said, you know, things are changing. Okay, I'm not promising you're going to be in a mansion or, you know, a huge bungalow or anything like that, but I do feel that things are changing for you, and it's like I feel a weight off me back. Okay, I'm going to leave you now, both. Okay,
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
We should have just time for one more.
Yeah. Okay. I can't decide if I'm going to Petra or Rosie, because I was very drawn to both of you. Rosie, I'm going to come to you. There's a gentleman behind me. Oh, I keep forgetting I'm supposed to be on here. There's a gentleman behind me, and I get the feeling that this gentleman's been through before. I feel very familiar with him, very at ease. I don't know if this would be your grandfather or your father. Right, okay. He's around you at the moment because he said you've been asking for some guidance. You've been asking it's like you've got a choice of ways to go. It's like that there's a fork in the road, and he said you've been asking for guidance. And he said you won't make the wrong decision, because there isn't a wrong decision. Okay? Are you worried about your own dad at the moment? Yeah, because he said don't worry about him, he's as tough as old bones. You know, he's got tough old bones. I feel he's in some discomfort, some pain at the moment. I don't know if he's got arthritis, because I'm very conscious of my knees, and I've got arthritis in my knees and my feet. I don't know whether he's got problems with his knees, but I get the feeling that he's, you know, as someone suddenly looks tired, and it's like you're noticing that he looks tired, and your granddad's just said, you know, you don't want to slow down. I'm not saying that he should, because that's got to be his decision, but it's like he's still doing things that he thought, you know, he could do 20 years ago. And it's like he's having a little moan. Does he like his garden? A bit. Right, because I can see, and it's like he's trying to do something, and it's like, oh, I can't do this. You know, it's too difficult for me, but he don't like giving up. And that's an admirable quality. you know, but you know, sometimes it's not a bad thing to ask for a bit of help. And there are people, I don't know if you've got brothers or you know, whomever, but there are people around that would give him a hand. Okay, but he just don't like asking, does he? You know, but it's like people don't always want to do anything, you know, or they're just thoughtless sometimes. They're not mean, they just don't think of it. I feel, you know, it wouldn't hurt him to have a little bit of help. So maybe you could set the ball rolling a little bit. I don't know, you're working, aren't you? Because he's just said there's opportunities coming your way. I feel that you're looking to make changes or to get promotion, because he said you're going to be offered two different things. One is like more of a sideways move, but it offers opportunities to move forward. The other one looks a bit, but it's like going to a dead end. Does that make sense?
I don't know what they are yet.
Right, okay. Well, what you choose is up to you. It's whatever suits you at this time in your life. Because I feel your life has changed or is changing, and what you wanted last year may not be what you want this year. You've got to look at the practicalities, and I feel one may, you know, like require you to give more of your time, and time is precious. Okay, and although I feel you are quite ambitious, you're not in the same frame as you were before. Things have changed around you for the better, but things have changed. Does that make sense? Okay, because he's just said you've got other things going on at the moment as well. Good things, but you've got other things. So think about what you want, because what you wanted last year may not be what you really want this year. So look at your own heart and make that decision. And there's a black cat sitting curled up. I don't know whether this cat's not been gone very long, but it's like important that I gave you this little cat. It's curled up asleep, and I feel I've got a bit old and I've just got tired. And it's just curled up asleep around you. And, you know, I feel beautiful, beautiful, glossy black, proper black. Okay, because it is there. I'm just quickly going to go to Petra, because I've got your mum and dad standing behind you. And your mum she just sort of pushed in and said, oh, please go to Miguel, go to her. She said she's been a little bit sorry for herself. Okay. You try to keep a brave face on things. I mean, obviously, I know your mum's name is Ros, not Rose, I'm Rose. You know, and you're named after your dad, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, because your dad's just sort of prodded me and said, don't forget me. They said that you're feeling a little bit sorry for yourself. You keep putting on a brave face. But do you know what? As much as we're spiritualists and we have this wonderful thing, sometimes we have to cling to faith. Don't matter how much evidence we get, we have to have a little bit of faith, and it's very, very hard. There's disappointments around you, but I want to say those disappointments, it's almost as if there's a different option, or things are starting to change. Okay, and you've got decisions you've got to make, and they just said, darling, it won't make a jot of difference. Now, I have no idea what they're talking about, but I feel as if I've got so much love to give. Now, you're married, didn't you? Oh, okie doke. Well, because I'm just feeling that this, I was going to say, because I actually went and watched you get married, didn't I?
Yeah. Well, can I say, what I'm going to do is say goodbye to Richard so that you can carry on.
Bye, Richard.
If that's all right, if Richard, if you don't mind, because I know that you've got to go at 12 and we've just gone over to 12.
Oh, bless you.
But there are, you know, I'm sure that Rose would like to carry on with finishing this reading, possibly even another one.
Yeah.
So it's been lovely seeing everyone. I say blessings to all of those that have been watching our show. Sorry for our technical difficulties that got us started late. Hope you've been able to hear most of it. and we'll see you all again next week. So bye for a mass online, and then back to Rose. And a good day to you, Richard.
Yeah.
A good
Bye,
day.
Richard, and everybody. Yeah, sorry, darling. I'm going to sit down now. Oh,
Yes, you
oh,
can
all
sit in the seat.
Oh, that's it. Oh, leave. See the leave. Oh.
Are you planning a paid spiritual event, or looking for something to do this weekend? Then visit myspiritualevents.com. You can browse the listing, view the event details, watch a YouTube clip, look at a mini gallery, select dates and times, pay for tickets using PayPal or your debit card. Organizers can register for free and start selling tickets within minutes, be it for their online or in-person spiritual event. As an organizer, you will have access to your own admin dashboard, which will display information such as your income and your bookings, all in a simple and user-friendly display. It's free to use. Join and upgrade to an organizer. Come and visit us at myspiritualevents.com.
My Spirit Life is a free online interactive magazine for those who have an interest in improving their spiritual lives. Authors can upload images, videos, and audio clips to their own articles. The public can place comments, rate the article, and follow the author. All articles are vetted before being published. For more information and to place your own article, please visit myspiritlife.co.uk. Tomorrow from 11 a.m, Alison and Dawn hosts their morning show with live readings, chat, special guests, and the latest news from SPTV. Matt and Kirsty host their show tomorrow from 8 p.m. The show consists of answering your spiritual questions and offering free mediumship and oracle card readings.